Hi, you're on to Beaver's Canadian Journey. Thank you so much for watching. Today I have a special treat for you. I'm here with Mr. Chidi Maduakolam, who is a clinical social worker and is currently an employee here in Nova Scotia with the Department of Community Services, Child and Family Wellbeing. One of the reasons why I invited Mr. Chidi was that a couple of months ago, I heard Mr. Chidi speak at a family forum at my church here in Halifax. And some of the things he was saying, as a newcomer here in Halifax, I was blown by it. He was giving examples of how newcomers come to Canada and sometimes they don't know how to, navigate the system and sometimes get themselves in trouble. And I thought I need to have this wealth of knowledge on my channel to help newcomers that are coming into Canada to understand that there's some kind of protocol when you come to Canada as a newcomer. So, Mr. TG, it's so great to have you here. Thank you so much. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, like you rightly mentioned, I am a community developer. I am also currently doing social work with Department of Community Services, where I do child protection. Basically, before child protection, I worked with new immigrants, where I did career counseling, career development for newcomers. I also relax myself. I'm a spiritual person. I go to church and I do soccer in the summer, and yeah.
Thank you for that. So, how long have you been in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, basically I've been in Nova Scotia for about 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, the founding fathers.
Not really. The people were here a decade ago before I came.
Okay. So, my first question is, Mr. Chidi, based on your experience and work with newcomers,
Okay.
what are some challenges immigrants often encounter when settling in Canada? And if you can share some examples, please.
Okay. When you talk about immigrants
Yes.
or newcomers to Canada, there are different streams of coming to Canada.
Okay.
There is students visa. There is a permanent residents. There are people that came into business class. There are also people that came in as a refugees.
Yep.
So depending on the stream that you came in, but basically I want to talk more about people that came in with a permanent resident.
Okay.
Because when I was at the YMCA, the people that the program mandated us to work with are basically people that have their permanent residence.
Okay.
Now, one of the challenges that newcomers face, according to my own understanding, is language barrier. When I'm talking about language barrier, I'm talking about English proficiency. For instance, if you are an immigrant from the Francophone countries in Africa, when you come to this part of Canada, you will have problem of English because Nova Scotia is not a bilingual province, and if you are from the Anglophone, even when you come to Nova Scotia, you will still having problem of English proficiency because of the accents. Another challenge that I feel that new immigrant face is services, being connected to services. Like I said, I was going to focus on permanent resident. When I came in here, before coming into Nova Scotia, my wife was already here, before I came. So she already know how to navigate some services. I also have family members who were here. So in my own case, it wasn't much of a challenge for me. But a recent immigrant that came in, maybe husband and wife that came in, services like ISANS or YMCA Employment Center or YMCA Immigration. Now, being able to engage in those kind of services, is one of the things that will help in immigrant to overcome some of all those barriers. Now, another challenge is access to support. Like I said, my wife was already here before I came, so her support, the support she already have, I key into in, and it kind of help me. Now, some new immigrants find it difficult to even know where to get support. Okay. Support from community like churches, like even within the community, is something that can also help them now. And the major problem is lack of employment, because you and me know that most immigrants came in for a greener pasture.
Yep.
And you cannot have a greener pasture without having employment. So employment issue is usually, one of the challenges that they have, because if you are not employed within the first 2 or 3 months, you won't be able to meet your basic need of employment, housing,
You start
or
getting
that stuff.
frustrated.
Yeah, you start getting frustrated. So, and also even when they get those employments, there are basic major thing that happens in those employment: discrimination. So when most of them are being discriminated, it kind of make them more discouraged. I have a specific example of a recent immigrant that I was working with. She said she went to work during lunch. She was heating up her food. You know how Nigerian jollof, taste. So Nigerian jollof was cooked with crayfish.
Crayfish.
So in the lunchroom, the crayfish smells so nice, and people were asking, "Oh, what kind of aroma is that?" So she felt that she was being discriminated because of her food, and since that day, this woman never go to work with lunch, because she felt that because of the smell of her food, people will discriminate her, with her food. And another big example I have is a recent immigrant that I was working with when I was with the YMCA Employment Center told me about that she made her hair long. Everybody was admiring her hair. Then the next week, she removed her hair and she was wearing wig. So a white lady came to her without saying excuse me and kind of touched her hair. And African women doesn't like people touching on their hair. So
No,
she
we don't play
felt
with it.
so she felt discriminated, and she doesn't know how to voice herself, and when you are not able to express yourself, it kind of accumulates on you and makes you feel very, very depressed. So new immigrants usually face some of
Well,
all those problems.
let me just ask a question, because some of these things have happened to me. So in your in your opinion, and with your expertise, what would you think the solution? Let's talk about this jollof rice issue.
Okay.
Because for me, that's one of the reasons I like taking food to work. I cook. I'm married to an Igbo man. We cook with a lot of crayfish, palm oil, and it has its own distinct aroma. So in that case, what is the solution? Because I go to work and sometimes people warm food and I don't like the smell, but I don't say anything. So what should that lady have done?
Okay. In my opinion, what she would have done is to use the opportunity to educate people.
Okay.
Tell them they can have a test. I remember when I went to, I'm an Igbo man as well. My wife cooked with a lot of crayfish. I remember going to work one time with a jollof rice and plantain, and when I put it on the microwave, it smells so nice. One lady came to me and was telling me, "Oh my God, this smells nice." I didn't know if she meant positive smells nice or negative smells nice, but I offered her to have a test. Then I also told her that it's very, very spicy. So she tested it and she was like, "Oh my God, this is lovely." So using the opportunity to educate them, because everybody food wouldn't be everybody wouldn't have a specific kind of food. For instance, I don't like cheese, the smell of cheese, but people eat it. So being able to use the opportunity to educate them and let them understand that this is my food, and there's nothing I can do about it, rather than shutting you down and making you feel depressed and decided not to come to work with lunch. Like you mentioned, it happens to you as well, but you don't have to shift your ground because people doesn't like your food.
Okay.
It is your food, and you owe nobody apology. For instance, the lady that somebody touched her hair, you educate her like, you don't touch my hair without
yes.
a consent. Just like you can't have sex without a consent. So using that point to educate people about who you are.
I agree. I agree with that education piece. What I've noticed here, I mean, we've been here close to 5 years, especially in the work environment, is that once you educate people, a lot of the things people do is out of ignorance. But once you educate people, like this hair issue now,
Yeah.
especially with us African women, our hair is so versatile. Today it's long, tomorrow it's short. And when I go to the office, they're like, "Oh, you had your hair long," or I educate them. I'm like, "Listen, our hair is Afro, it's tough. I can plait it, I can braid it, I can, and I and you see the look of surprise. Majority of them are just, they don't know any better.
Exactly.
I think people, if people know better, they will do better, and half of it is just, educating them, so that they can do better. Maybe I'll start taking jollof rice. Maybe should I pack jollof rice for you to go to work? I'll start taking start taking jollof rice. But maybe you should educate me a bit, because for me, one of the reasons I don't take the jollof rice to work is because I also want to be cautious, about other people, because like most offices here at the college is scent free, right? And I know that there's some people that are very sensitive to a lot of, so I wouldn't take my onubu soup to work. And my mindset on that is I'm trying to be, is that also a good mindset, or should I just
See, Canada pride themselves as a cultural mosaic of the world. Canada try Canada is a multicultural in every sense. So
Yes.
don't shut yourself down because somebody you are, when you say scent free is, scent. This is food that you consume. For the fact that you eat it doesn't mean it's gonna kill anyone. It's just the aroma of the food. It's just like an Indian making a good curry with so much spice. It's just like a Lebanese, or a Chinese making their own food. It's just like a Canadian making food with a lot of cheese on it. It doesn't mean that everybody will accept you. So don't shut yourself down. There's one of my friend, a Nigerian, that told me he went to work with swallow. And he was there eating it with his hand. People were watching him. So it was a moment of, he said, you can even do a video of me if you like.
I like that.
For me, but I've never gotten to the extent of going to work with swallow.
Swallow.
So because my wife wouldn't want me to do that. Yeah.
Thank you. My next question is, can you please share some common mistakes newcomers make when they arrive?
Yeah, so newcomers make a lot of mistakes, but some of the common mistake is, number one, I feel, is there's assumption that your employment or your work history in Africa or in Nigeria will be accounted to your Canadian experience or your certificate. For instance, I have a degree and I have over 7 years experience before coming to Nova Scotia. So my first 3 months, I was able to get an employment. So my 7 years experience with my degree wasn't counted. So newcomers usually made that assumption that the education will be valid here. No, it's not going to be valid. So what I usually advise newcomers, once you come here, try and get your education here, or try and do some menial jobs to be able to gain experience. It doesn't mean it must be, normal job. It can be volunteering experience, and those work experiences you do, it's not just the job experience, but it's just having that experience of working with people, interpersonal relationship at work. So that is number one common mistake newcomers, make here. Another common mistake is the assumption of Canadian culture. Some people just made the assumption that Canadian culture is the same way with Nigerian culture. For instance, you can come to work and you hug your colleague, or you shake hand, or you make some pleasantries to the female folks. Those are normal culture back home. Like somebody dresses well, you say, oh, you make some, it doesn't happen here. So those culture that happen back home, it doesn't happen here, because somebody can actually sue you for sexual harassment for making a comment about the person's, dressing. New immigrant also make mistake of delaying in setting some crucial social services. For instance, new immigrant will come and they wouldn't want to go and set up their bank account. They will just want to wait for a while before they start employment, before they're able to get bank account. Some other people wouldn't want to go get maybe family doctors. They will want to wait until when they are sick. They will go get a family doctor, or health card, or even getting transportation system. For instance, new immigrants who want to come, they have money, they won't want to go and buy a car. They want to wait until they land that specific big job before they get a car. Maybe they came in summer when they're able to take Uber or take the normal bus route. They wouldn't want to go and get some of all those basic things that they need before winter.
Winter comes.
So some of all those mistakes, then all of a sudden they get a job and they tell you that this job require you to have a driver's license, and you've not even gotten a driver's license. So unlike back home, you could get a job, you'll be given a laptop, you'll be given a phone, you'll be given
Car and
office
driver.
car and driver. No, it doesn't happen. You will use your car here and you will use it at work. So, and also new immigrant also is always good to ask people who have been here before you came, either by proxy, just what and what do I need. If they're able to share those information for you, be receptive of it. It doesn't mean you must use them, but just ask basic information and have those tips. Having trusting people that were here before you.
I want to go back to the first mistake you mentioned, because I've struggled with that as well. When you said one of the mistakes or challenges is that newcomers come to Canada and they expect their work experience from back home or their educational qualification from back home to be accepted. Now, when we're coming as permanent residents, we got the points, we got the invitation to apply based on that work experience, based on the educational qualifications. I mean, we had to send our credentials to WES for it to be evaluated. And the whole point of WES is that they want to make sure the educational qualifications I got from wherever is the same as Canada. So why shouldn't I come to Canada with that mindset that my educational qualification and my work experience is the same as a Canadian one? I mean, I agree with everything you said. That's the truth. I was a communication specialist in Nigeria. I came here and it's like they want you to start from communications assistant. And I'm thinking to myself, I have the work experience. You have evaluated my qualifications. In fact, mine were even from the UK, but I still had to start from scratch. So it was a shocker. It was, in fact, it was like they slapped me in the face. We didn't see it coming. But why shouldn't I expect? That's what IRCC told me.
Okay, now let me give an instance. It doesn't happen in all the profession.
Okay.
In medical profession, for instance, medical doctors in Nigeria, even if you have 20 years experience from Nigeria, directly come here, you have to do some basic before you qualify. The same thing with nurses. I have over 7 years managerial experience before coming to Canada. I came in as a permanent resident, but I didn't bother about my certificates or that because I knew I was coming here to go to school.
Okay.
And I knew I was coming here to do a change of degree.
Okay.
So when I came here, I was looking for a job. Then all the job I was getting was menial job. My first job was I worked as a patient attendant in a hospital where I was sitting down and watching a dying patient, for 12 hours. Then I also worked in a UPS career as a security package handler. When you want to travel on the airline, those people that checks use X-ray to check if yeah. So that was the work I was doing, but it was just for a few hours. So my degree in Nigeria didn't count, but I was able to use that degree to get into school here. Okay. Another example is I have a friend who is a PhD holder in Nigeria. So when he came here, he was expecting that he was going to get a PhD job. So he has he saw people who are lecturers. So he thought that with his PhD in Nigeria, he would get a lecturing job. Without going to school in anywhere in Europe or in Nigeria. So that didn't work and it got him frustrated. So when he came, I counseled him about going back to school or getting a menial job to have that employment experience. Even if you don't get that equivalent kind of PhD job, but at least you'll be able to get something. This guy wasted for almost 2 to 3 years, not going to school, trying to uplift himself, and not getting any better employment. Eventually, he had to move out of the province. Irrespective of whatever they promise you that your degree will be equivalent to, it is not the same here. When you come here, there are different criteria, and job experience is very, very, very important. Canadian work experience is what they will count for you, and most employer will not even want to look at your degree; they want to look at your experience. Are you able to do this? Like those of them in technical setting, for instance, if you're in construction, the way a house is being constructed in Africa is not the same way it's being constructed here.
Correct.
So if you said you have experience as a medicine in Nigeria, is plastering wall or doing all those kind of block laying, but here it is drywall. But there are transferable skills, like you mentioned that you a communication expert. So those you can get a transferable skill when you come here. You can work as a marketer, you can work as a custom service representative because you speak English. But if you are another profession, it may not work the same way. So it depends on the profession, but people usually make the assumption that once you have a degree or a medical professional as a nurse, when you come here, you'll be able to work as a nurse. You may work in the hospital as a PCW, but you're not working as a registered nurse who'll be giving medication.
Okay. One of the things I've been hearing with a lot of newcomers and with my subscribers is when they come here is that people my mental health, depression. Immigrating to a new country can impact mental health. Sometimes people don't adjust
Okay.
on time. What advice do you have for newcomers?
Okay. Mental health is something that affects everyone, and as a clinical social worker, I have come across a lot of people who are highly depressed, and depression comes in different ways. Let me give you an example of my own depressive episode. Like I said, I was working in Nigeria as a manager. I have about 7 people reporting to me. Then coming down here, I had to resign from my job. Then I came here to meet my wife. For the first 3 months, I had no job. Someone that is very, very active, see in the morning, my wife will get up and go to work and come back, and I would just be there doing nothing. So the first job I got was to work as a patient attendant. Patient attendants, I will sit in a hospital with a dying patient for 12 hours. Sometimes nurses will come into the room. I will say hi to them. They wouldn't even answer me. I would just feel, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Though I knew I had an admission, I'm going to school, but that's alone kind of exacerbated my depression. And also I came to Canada in the month of February. The next day when I came, there was 50 centimeter snow. So I couldn't go out. I didn't have a car at that time. So that's actually, with immigration, it can even affect multiple other ones, and when you don't have a job or when you have a job, those really affect your mental health. So one advice, some of the advices I have for new immigrants is, first of all, at workplace, if you're employed, try and create an ally.
Yes.
Being able to have an ally at workplace, someone that you can also talk to. Like if those things are bothering you, being able to have a colleague, this one colleague that you can also talk to, and also the person understanding you. Another advice for mental health is, staying connected to your community, because here in Canada is more or less isolated place. Having connected to either your church or your community will kind of help you instead of being isolated, being able to meet people maybe during the summer, having connection with community barbecue, all those kind of stuff. It will help you to be able to help you with your mental health and depression. Now, focusing on positivity, and also having a set goal. When I came here, despite the fact that I was doing the patient attendance job, which was a minimum wage job, I had a set goal that I was going to go to school. I was going to do Bachelor of Social Work and also Masters of Social Work. Irrespective of the fact I already have a degree in Nigeria, I had to do 2 years degree, and I also did my Masters. So within the 3 years, I was going to finish up my degree, and I will never do the minimum wage job. So having all those set goals, it will help your mental health. whatever you are going through, you just for the phase. After that, you go to the you go to the next level. And also making sleep your priority. Taking off time to sleep, irrespective of 12 hours job. At least on weekends, you have to relax, eat good meal, and sleep. The last one is seeking support. Mental health. There's a lot of support around here. We don't have much support back home. People don't even talk about mental health because it's like a taboo. Seeking support. There was Social Mental Health Mobile Crisis Center. It's a crisis line that you can just call and get some mental health support. And also a lot of people don't know this. There is postpartum depression on women who
just give birth.
who get birth. But I've had to experience a lot of that during my child protection work. Even some new families, husband will not even understand why mom who just had a baby after 2 weeks want to harm her baby, will want to just go and drive and kill herself. There is a lot of stuff going on, but seeking those help, it will really help immigrant to be able to.
This is very dear to my heart because we come from a culture and society where we don't talk about these things. Postpartum. I remember when I gave birth to my daughter, said this was in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I knew something was wrong, but it was like, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Just pray. Are there services here for those to provide that kind of, because it's real?
There's a lot of services.
Okay.
But if you don't know, you don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, the mental health mobile crisis is a crisis center. They are 24 hours crisis center.
Okay.
You call them, you talk to clinicians, they will try to assess you on the phone. If they feel it's an ongoing thing, they will make a referral for you.
Okay.
And you go see someone. And I don't know back home, but I know that people will tell you to go to church. Church is good, religion is good, but it's not everything that is church. If it involves you even being on medication, go and get medication. There's no mental health is a taboo. Africans don't want to talk about it. People don't want to talk about it. Even a lot of children born here, they have ADHD. Some of them have ADD. Some of them have are on the autism spectrum. So people don't want to talk about it, but it happens back home. They call them imbeciles back home. But those are autism. There are things with therapy, the children will function normally. There are high autistic children who are in school doing perfectly well here. Just knowing what to do and seeking help at the right time.
This thing you just mentioned, I've had this conversation with a lot of friends. To be honest with you, before coming to Canada, I'd never heard ADHD or all those things. We go to school. Yes, there's some children who are more hyper than other people, but you just think, But it seemed coming here, and a lot of the people I talk to are newcomers and immigrants, and I've also struggled with it myself because I was thinking, why is it that is in this society that this thing, because I never heard about it in Nigeria.
Okay.
Why is it that, is there something in the food? Is there something in the air? It wasn't there.
Okay. Let me cut you there. There's a lot of mental health in Nigeria. The reason is it is more diagnosed here than back home. When I talk, I usually do like this. My wife, who has been here for a while, will tell me I have ADHD. You understand? It doesn't mean I have ADHD, but those are some of the signs of ADHD. On restlessness. Some people are on medication, some people are not on medication.
Okay.
There are people that are more hyperreactive than other people. There is what they call in diagnosis, there's what they call DSM. DSM is a diagnostical manual to diagnose mental health.
Okay.
I have that book. If I give you that book, it's like a Bible of mental health. Everything that happens to everyone have a diagnostic. So back home, a lot of children have both ADHD and ADD. But just because that the awareness is not there. Now the awareness is here more. That's when it seems as if it is here more.
Or is it that Kane
Guys-
flogs it out?
And also, Ken flogs it out. Yeah, Ken flogs it out. And also, interaction with multiple stuff. You go to church, you go to soccer, you go to, having all that kind of thing. You're not isolated, So
Yes.
having all that interaction and knowing fully well that if your father see you disturbing things on the school or doing this, it is a punishment for you. So it makes you calm. But here, the corporal punishment or physical discipline doesn't exist here. So children tend to act more. The same amount of autism, mental health you have back home, you have it here.
Okay.
There's nothing like food. It's just those chemical imbalances in brain
Okay.
that affect it. It's also happened back home. It's also happened here.
We've said so many things today, and there's one theme that has popped up, in most of this discussion, and that's racism.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me, is there racism? Have you experienced racism? I have experienced it here, but what would you tell a newcomer that is coming that is afraid that they'll be racist? People will be racist to them.
Okay, racism. There's a lot of racism here, but racism depends on how subtle it is or how it is, how openly it is. I remember telling someone that, I've never experienced racism. I think I was around 4 or 5 years then in Canada. But it was when I started studying social work that I now started knowing some of the layers of racism. And I remember there was a time when I have not bought a car. I was in a bus. I met this boy and a girl at the back of the bus. The guy came to me and was asking me, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Nigeria, Africa." He said, "Africa?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Have you seen monkey before? Do you guys see monkey on the road?" I was telling him, "Oh, no, we don't see monkey in the road. Monkey is in the zoo, blah, blah, blah." So it was after about 6 months later, and I understand that was racism. But I never see it as I was seeing it as this guy was just asking me a question.
Okay.
So I remember at that point in the bus, I saw the girlfriend's face being like this, like, "Oh, don't ask that question." But the guy was ready asking me, and I was explaining to him, openly, "No, we don't see them on the, So if I had known that was racism then, my answer wouldn't have changed. But what would have told me was that, you guys don't even in Canada, you don't see monkeys on the road. Monkeys are in the zoo. So it would have been a way for me to have, taught him. And also, at employment, you may make a request for something. Your colleague who is born in Canada may get it before you. So those are some of the subtle ways of, showing racism. And now, a lot of people, because of awareness of racism, a lot of people are very much aware that you are empowered to go and report, or nobody wants to be called out as being racist. So everybody tries not to do it openly, but under the mix of hiding it or trying not to make it openly, people do it. And as a black person, at workplace, definitely you'll be quickly to be spotted out. Even when you're not there, someone is talking to you on the phone, they already know that this person wasn't born in Canada. Like even me as a child protection social worker, I have talked to some client who tells me, "I can't work with you. Can I talk to your supervisor? I want to work with someone who was born in Canada because I feel you will not represent me well." I say, "Well, your file is being assigned to me. There's nothing you can do about it. Even if your file is being assigned to some other person, it's policy we are following, the same policy the person will still follow. At the end of the day, they will get tired of it. And at the end of the day, I even work with them much, much more better than the other person that are thinking that they work with. So So it's something that we have to deal with, and it's not going away soon. Racism is here, and it will continue to be here, and people have to talk about it. Even African Nova Scotians that have been here over 400 years ago, they're still experiencing it.
Racism,
How
yeah.
much more you, who is
That
that just came?
You're correct. It's always going to be there. For me, one of the things I've learned to do since coming here is educating people. I believe half the time people just don't know better, and also building resilience. Like you said, it's not going to go building resilience. But one of the things I want to learn how to do as my 7-year-old daughter is going is also how to educate her on how to handle these kind of things, because
Exactly.
it will happen.
Yeah.
It will definitely happen. But thank you so much
No problem.
for this. Has been really, I hope it's going to be really helpful for newcomers that are thinking of coming,
Yeah.
that are thinking of how they're going to navigate their way when they come here. So one of the things that really stood out for me is, when you come to a new place, integrating into your community, churches, mosques, here in society, here in Nova Scotia, it really, really helps, because Canada can be a very cold and lonely place. But for more tips, you want to learn more, keep watching Beaver's Canadian Journey. Thank you very much, and until next time, take care.